Good evening and welcome to our webinar number 9 or day 9, where we're going to be talking about knowledge-based articles, right? So a very interesting subject, a very powerful tool. I've seen it used quite widely in a number of businesses, and I think it can provide a lot of value for any customers that are quite heavily engaged with customer engagement and the way that they engage with their customers. All right, so let's get started. In this webinar, I'm going to discuss the article approval process, because as we create articles, these articles need to be approved, and there's actually a process in place. So users that create articles can create them, and then users that need to review or approve articles, the security roles that are involved in. I'll demonstrate that to you, how that actually works. Right? I'm going to show you obviously how to create an article. I'm going to show you how to insert images into articles. How to use articles and portals. I'm also going to show you some cool tips in using HTML inside your articles to make your articles look the way you want them to look, in inserting images using HTML and so forth. All right, and then also how to use articles to solve customer service queries, right? Okay, so the first thing to do is to understand in terms of the knowledge management process and the security rights that are involved. All right, so by default, if you spin up a trial environment, by default, you are the global administrator. However, if you are assigned a permission, in other words, you're on a live environment, in that environment, you're either a global administrator or a system administrator, you would have the rights to create articles and review them, as well as publish those articles as well. All right. However, if you're a standard user like anybody else, you would need, you'd be able to create articles, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to approve them or publish those articles. For this, you would need a security role called a knowledge manager security role. And I'll demonstrate later on in this webinar on how you actually can add that security role to a user, enabling them to approve and publish knowledge articles. All right, so generally speaking, a user that has been given the rights, and when I say a user that's been given the rights, by default, a user not necessarily has the rights to create articles, but they can be given the right, or an existing security profile can be modified to give them the right to create article content, but they wouldn't necessarily be able to approve or publish the articles themselves. Okay, so let's continue. So we know that the articles are driven by security permissions. Okay. Where can we use articles, or where can articles be used? They can be used in quite a number of different ways. The first way is to create reference documents. So this is probably one of my favorites. So for example, if I'm a customer service consultant, I'm on the phone with a customer and they're asking me about a query or a product spec or a solution to a problem, I can actually store those documents in my document repository, and then allowing the user, while they're on the call inside the support case, to be able to search for articles or search for solutions. All right. The other option is to create solution documents, which is pretty similar to reference documents, but create solution documents that are used by support agents. I'm going to create a couple just now, just to show you how this works. And the other one is to create product brochures. So imagine a situation where someone asks you for the specs for a PC. And instead of explaining all those specs to them over the phone, which you could possibly get wrong, we create product brochures with specs that are preset inside an article. So if a customer sends an email and that email automatically converts into a case, now you've got a support case with somebody that's requesting the specs on a product or pricing and so forth. From within the case, I can simply attach the article and boom, or email that article off and then simply close the case. So I don't need to get into a whole dialogue of copy and paste and searching for references. The references can be referenced within the article's repository. Okay. Email templates for case resolution. So for example, this one I use quite a lot. So for example, I will create a footer for an email with maybe some images and my company logos and so forth. And then we have a policy in the company that every time you send an email from a case, we have a general thank you email. And then you just go to the search for the thank you email and click on email, and it'll send the thank you email out with your right colors, right fonts, and right look and feel, so that you get consistency through your business. So there's a number of ways to use it. Unfortunately, at this stage, within a case, you can obviously use the article as an email template, but the email templates native out of CRM at this stage don't have as much flexibility when it comes to editing email templates. Okay. Right, then exposing articles onto portals. This is quite a cool function. So you have two types of articles. You have an internal article, or an article that's classified as internal, and an external article. So if you create an article and you set the article to external, and by default, just so you know, all articles are by default set to external, and you need to actually manually change the setting to internal. So what's the difference? The difference is if an article is marked internal, that's generally where I would keep articles that are solutions to problems, email templates, anything that I don't want the public to see. As soon as I change a status of an article from internal and I mark it as external, then what would happen is by default, it would actually expose the article onto your customer self-service portal under the category which you've associated to. So that is key to remember that. So if an article is associated to a category and that category is exposed on the portal, then your article will show under that category. And it'll also show the article in the instance where a customer or user that is on the portal enters a case topic or subject, and then as soon as the case deflection kicks in, it'll suggest articles, and then your articles will actually come up in the case deflection. But I'm going to demonstrate that to you so you'll get a little bit more clarity. Okay, so let's actually get started, right? So where we're going to get started, let me just go back a couple of slides, and then let me just have a reference here. All right, so let's look at the very basics. Where do you actually create an article from, and how do you actually create an article? Okay, so first of all, you have a number of different environments. All right, so let me just close that. Okay, there we go. All right, so your number of different environments. Oh, I actually canceled the sharing. Hold on one second. Let me just start the sharing again. There we go. Okay, there we go. So we can see the sharing, and there we go. Let's continue. All right, so your environments that you have, if I go into my applications, for example, so if I click on Dynamics 365, it's going to close. I've got so many tabs open here. Go into Dynamics 365. And once I'm in Dynamics 365, my application list will open. So generally, for the first couple of videos that I showed you, from videos 1 to 8, we've been working in the custom application, which holds all of the applications from customer service, sales, field service. Everything is inside this application over here. But the article content is actually created in the customer service hub. So to access the application, we click on customer service hub, and that'll actually open up the customer service hub. So you'll see it looks very, very similar to normal CRM. So here's your normal CRM, here's your service and your training. Oh, sorry, this is actually the customer service hub. Let me just navigate to this one. There we go. This is your normal CRM. All right, so let me make that a bit bigger for you. There we go. So we have service, there's sales, marketing, training, portals, community, and so forth. But we actually have a dedicated application just for customer service. Okay. So when we say dedicated, we say, for example, if I go to cases, for example, it'll show my active cases. There's the cases that I'm working on. If I go to dashboards, for example, there's a really cool dashboard here called Tier 1. This is where I'd work. Myself as a customer service agent would be working on a day-to-day basis. And from within these support cases, I'll now be able to, on this side, through the related tab, click on the little book. And this is where I'd be able to actually search for content. Okay, so let's go and actually create, from within the customer service hub, let's create our first sample article. Okay, so I'm going to click on new. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an article, but the context of this article is let's say, for example, I work for a printer company that we sell printers. And from time to time, we get calls from customers that they give us an error message. And that error message can be error 101 or error 500. And we need to be able to give the agent the ability to search for these error codes within the document repository and then provide solutions to the customer. Okay, so that's the context. All right, so I'm going to create a topic or title. So I'm going to say, let me give it a name. So let's say Canon printer, right? And then I'm going to say error 101. Okay, and keywords, I'm going to say error 101. Okay. So this is really important. So the title will show up. The error is where the keywords I'm using is so that the agent, when he's searching for articles from within the case, you can actually just type the word error 101, or I can even just remove the space here to make it simpler. All right, so there's error 101 is my keyword, so that when I'm searching for it, it's actually much easier. All right, I can even go so simple and just go 101. But to make it better, I'm just going to say error 101. All right, then description, solution to toner empty. Okay, right, fantastic. So now we've created the header. So I'd like to, at this point, just click on save to save my document, right? All right, so now I'm actually going to go create the actual document to explain what the agent should actually tell the customer, right? So I'm going to put on the top here, so Canon error 101 solution. All right, there we go. And once I've got that, and then I can put a description. What I like to do is I like to use my my Atom Scratchpad because it allows me to create sample text quite quickly. And there we go. I've got a bunch of sample text here. I can actually just copy that out. And then there we go. I've got my solution. All right. Doesn't look too fancy, but let's just keep it as simple as possible. For now, we can use this editor, your edit on top here, to make it the fonts bigger. We can go over here and change the font. Let's say, like my favorite is Verdana. Let's make it Verdana. Change the Lorem Ipsum text. This also Verdana as well. There we go. So I've got my solution document, right? Next thing to do is to save it. Okay, so now that it's saved, take a note on the bottom here. On the bottom left corner, it's in a draft state. So this means that it's still in the state of being created. At this stage, no one can actually access the article, not from a case, not from the portal, nothing at all, right? So it really can't be touched. Okay. So to publish the article, you use the business process bar at the top here. So let's say, for example, I'm a creator, but I'm not necessarily someone who can approve it or publish it. I would click over here. Then I'm going to associate it to a subject, right? I'm going to say associate it to, let's click on the drop down on maintenance. All right. Then I'm going to click on mark for review. So what this basically means is I'm setting the article to say I'm done with it. I need someone to now approve it. So once I click on approve, the person with once I click on, let me go back there. Once I click on mark for review, and I click on set active, next stage, sorry. Once I click on next stage, the article is then queued on the knowledge manager's dashboard that they need to actually approve this article. All right, so let me save it at this stage. But for demonstration purposes, I am a system administrator or global administrator on the system. So that enables me to actually complete the entire process. So I'm going to do that. So basically from this stage now, the knowledge manager will log in, or the person responsible for approving the article. They'd read the article, that maybe make some changes and so forth. And once they've made the changes, they can approve it. They can also reject it. So what actually happens in that instance? Let me bring that slide up and actually show you what that means. I'm just going to push the slide onto the screen so you can see. Right, so we can see that I can create an article, and then that article is left in a draft status. Then I go and set the article or mark the article for review. It then gets reviewed. If the article is, once it's in a reviewed state, it can either be approved or rejected. If rejected, it goes into an update state, and then it's back in a draft. And then we'll continue through the cycle until the article is actually approved. And once it's approved, then the article is obviously ready to be published. And then from there, I can actually go, before I publish it, I can associate it to a category, and I can do a number of things. All right, so let's actually go and approve it. Let's click on approved, and it's asking me, am I sure? Click on OK. And there we go. Now we can click on next stage. Okay, so in next stage, now the next thing to do is the person who publishes this article will obviously go ahead and complete a couple of settings. So let's review what settings they're actually going to review. Under the summary tab, here is that setting I was talking about where it says internal. So this is currently set to no, which means that they will be able to access the article internally when using the article in the case, but it will also be exposed to the portal if we associate the article to a category that is on the portal or accessible by a portal user. Okay, so let me rehash on that one, right? So because it says internal no, does not mean it's blocked for internal. It means internal people can access it. It can be accessed through the case, but it will also be exposed to the portal under the category that you've associated to. If I mark this as yes, internal, that means it will not be published on the portal and can only be accessed by internal users. Okay, so really, really important. Okay, so for this purpose, I'm going to mark this as internal. The status of this article is already approved. There's the article public number, the article number as we call it. This is the primary author, that's who created the article, the language, obviously, the versioning. All the other details are here. I'm going to, at the bottom of this video later on, you'll be able to get the link to the documents, which I'm going to share with Microsoft's documents on creating articles. Okay. So at this stage, I'm going to go and save the article now. And then right on top over here, you'll see associate category. So generally speaking, I would normally use this personally is to actually position where I want my article to be exposed under which category. So if you remember earlier, let's actually search for a category, right? If I click on this lookup, I don't think there is any categories here. Let me see if I can find service. No, okay, so there's no categories that are being created yet. That's fine. We have marked the article for internal, and we'll create some categories just now that we'll go and expose on the portal. All right, fantastic. So let's save our article, and now we are ready to publish the article. All right. You have a couple of options. We can set product associations, so I can go and click on Mark Complete if I want. I can set an expiry date for the article, so expiry date and time. So this is when the article will automatically become unavailable for users to actually access the article. All right. But if we click on the three dots on the top here, let's actually finish the business process. Mark it as complete. I'm not going to set an expiry date. All right. Then click on the ellipse and then click on Publish. Okay. When you want to publish it, in my case, I want to publish it now. We can set a future date. All right, the status, so published or needs review or updating. So I'm going to set it to published. When do I want the article to expire? So that's when do I want the article to automatically be removed from the access or the access of the users or unpublished itself. So I can set the date and time there. And then publish approved related translations with the article. So in this case, I'm just going to set that to no. Okay, this is now used. I'm going to refresh CRM at this point in time. And then let's actually go and have a look at how this actually works. All right, so go to support case. All right, now I've got a case that's open called printer not working. All right, the status is currently in progress. If we open up the case, we go and we look at the case details. The subject says printer not working. Okay, fantastic. We've got some details over here. Printer. Oh, that's quite a unrealistic subject, but anyway, it's a sample. Okay. Now that I'm in my case, let's say, for example, I'm on the phone with the customer. The customer asks the customer, is there any error messages displaying on the screen? The customer says, yes, it says error 101. So I go quickly to my article. I create some chit chat while I'm on the phone with the customer, clear the subject out here, and I go type error 101. All right. Now you'll see it says, can a printer error 101? So if I click on this, it'll actually open the article, and from within the case, I can actually go and explain to the customer what to do. And if the customer still doesn't get it, I can actually go within this article. I'll show you now. Let's go and you click on email, and it'll take the same article and you can use it to actually email the solution to the customer. And there you'll see it's in the body of your email, which is fantastic. And then we just click on send. It'll give me an error message now because there's no mailboxes configured, but that's okay. All right, there we go. Now, if I go to the timeline, I can see there's a copy of the email. I know that the case has been resolved and the customer's happy. And there we go. That's how you use an article. This is how you use an article as a solution reference or as an email template. All right. So let's get a little bit fancy with, I'm so sorry about that. Let's get a little bit fancy with regards to what we can actually do with articles. Let me show you how to insert images into articles, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so first step, we want to navigate to our article section. And once we navigate to the article section, we want to create a brand new article from scratch. All right, because once an article is in a published state, we can't actually go and update that article. So only the person with the privilege as knowledge manager will be able to update a knowledge article that is in a published state. But because we are a content creator or a user that has the privilege to create articles, we'd have to create an article from scratch. So let's go and create an article that is a little bit more sexy, that's got some images in, that's got some fancy fonts and a better layout for the same solution for Error 101 for the Canon printer. All right, so we're going to click on plus. It creates a new article. Then over here, I'm going to give it a title. So let's say Canon 101 error. All right, so I'm giving it pretty much the same as I did with the other one, the first article we created. I'm going to put error 101 in my keywords, and then solution to Canon 101 error. Okay, fantastic. And then like I did before, let's save the article. Remember, after saving an article, or while we're creating the article is in a draft state. All right. So for those of you who are really fundies and know HTML and you want to be able to create sexy content, you can definitely do so. But I'm going to show you the basics, what a normal user would do and how a user would actually go and put pictures into an article. So let's start off by creating a title. So we're going to call this, we're going to give it the title of Canon 101 printer error. All right. Let's try and spell it right. There we go. So we've got our heading of our document, and what we want to do is we want to make this maybe a bit bigger. Let's give it a heading 1 size. There we go. Okay, we can adjust the size of over here if we want to. Let's take it down to 16. No, let's go to 20. Okay, that looks fine. All right. And we want to give it a different color, so we can highlight it, go to the color picker, and then you can actually pick the color that you want. Let's go with purple. All right, so now we go. We've got a nice purple banner there with our thing. Okay, now to insert an image, here's the tricky bit. Your images need to be web-facing. In other words, the customer that is reading the article would only be able to see to actually see the image if the image is in a web-facing state. For internal articles where users are reading the articles within CRM, you can publish the images for internal articles in your web resources. However, I don't recommend that. It is a lot easier to actually publish the images on a web-facing environment. All right. So what I'm going to show you now is a number of ways to do it. So you can either go to Google and right-click on an image. So let me actually demonstrate that for you. Let's go to Google, google.com. Let's look for a printer, for example. And if we go to images, we get a whole bunch of printer images, right? Then if I go right click on the image and then I can say open image in new tab, it should give me only the image. There we go. Now on the top, here's the URL. So if I copy the URL from here, and then I go back to my article that I'm busy creating, where's our article? There's our article. And now place your cursor where you want the image. And then what I would do is I would look for the little image icon just here on the right-hand side. If you click on the image icon, and then over here where it says URL, you can paste in the URL. Then you'll see immediately your image will show up. Then it's asking me for alternate text. So what is alternate text? Alternate text is in case the image doesn't show, what text do you want in its place? Have you ever opened a website or received an email, especially in emails, where the image doesn't load but a name appears? That's called alternate text or alt text. Okay, so I'm just going to put this as Canon 101 Canon printer, and let's give it a serial number. There we go. Okay, now I have some cool properties here, so I can go and change the width. Let's take it down to, let's say, 200 pixels, and then you'll see over there the height will actually scale proportionately, so that's great. We can give it a border. So if I give it a border, you're going to give it a border in pixels. All right, so if you don't know what pixels are, it's the dots. So if I make the border 2 pixels, it's thicker. If I make the border 5 pixels, it's nice and thick. All right. Let's go with something like 2 pixels. So it's not too heavy. All right. The H space is the height space. Okay, so if I go, let's say 30 pixels, you'll see it's giving me a horizontal space on horizontal left and right, and the vertical space, let's go 30 pixels. So what it's doing is creating what we call in HTML, it's creating padding around the image. You can see over there, there's padding over there. right? So let's reduce this so we can see how that looks. Let's reduce it to 10 pixels. You can see the spacing has actually changed. So I'm going to increase this back to 30 pixels. So I don't exactly want my text jammed right against my image. All right. Alignment, let's set my alignment to left. Okay, so we are expecting the image to be aligned to the left, space on the top, space on the bottom, and my text is not stuck to the edge of my image. All right, great stuff. Now I can click on OK. And there we go. There's my image that's been inserted in. Okay, cool. Then I can go ahead and I can continue down here, and I can continue to enter information. There we go. So let's go and put it printer error 101, and let's go and use my Lorem Ipsum text. So I can open Atom, copy my sample text. There we go. And then paste the solution in here. That's fantastic. Okay, let's make this bold. And there we go. We got a much better looking article now. Okay. What's really cool, what I like about this is we got a preview tab. So you got your designer and you got your preview tab. So your preview tab allows you to see how the article will actually render on the user's side. So in other words, if the user looks at the article on a desktop PC, that's how it'll show. On a tablet, in a vertical mode, that's how it'll show. On a horizontal mode and a mobile phone, you can see it. It's automatically mobile friendly and it automatically packs itself. And mobile vertical, it'll show you how the text wraps around the image. So that's quite cool. Okay. Now, let's say we're happy with our article. We want to now send it for review. We go to the first step, the author process over here on your business process bar. Let's associate it to a subject. Now, let's go to service and let's go to maintenance. And let's click on mark complete, next stage. So when I do this and I click on mark complete, next stage, it now gets queued on the knowledge manager side for the knowledge manager to review, approve, and then finally publish the article. Okay. Now, what happens if the knowledge manager rejects it? If the knowledge manager rejects the article, it will come back to you on your side, back into a review state. You'll need to go and fix it, and then complete the business process on step 1. Click on complete, which will send it back into review state. So your article can actually cycle between the author and review state over and over and over until the reviewer is happy. In some cases, the reviewer may just fix the errors and then they will go and click on next stage after they've actually approved the article, which will set the article in a state where it can actually be published. Okay, fantastic. It's also important to note that if you are a global administrator or system administrator, you are able to create the article and immediately publish the article. You don't necessarily have to go through the entire process. So Knowledge Manager also has that ability. All right. Okay, so let's go and see how this actually looks now within our case. I'm going to click it as mark complete. I'm not going to set an expiry date right now. I'm just going to click on finish. There we go. I'm going to close it and I'm going to publish this article. Oh, one step we forgot. Let's mark this article for internal yes, because we don't want the people on the portal to be able to see this article. Okay, so as soon as you mark it internal yes, it's by default blocked from the portal. Okay, good. Everything else we're happy with. Great. We can go ahead and publish the article. Okay. When do we want to publish it? Now or in the future? Let's go right now. Choose the publishing state. Is it needs review or updating or published? So let's leave it as published. Do we want the article to auto expire? Yes or no? And are we going to publish approved related translations of the article? No, we're not going to do that yet. This is just the basics course. In the advanced course, I'll show you how to do language translations on articles. Okay, there we go. Let's click on publish. Now, what I want to do, just to make sure there's no confusion, let's go back to the knowledge articles and let's go and unpublish the other one, the first one we created. So you can see the knowledge article number that says 1001. That was the first one we created. And this one is 1002, which is the new version. All right, so select the article, or you can just click on it. And then I'm going to actually unpublish this article. So select the ellipsis, the 3 dots on the top, and then click on revert to draft, and then click on OK. So this automatically unpublishes the article, and now it's back in a draft state. Okay, fantastic. Cool. So let's go to our customer service hub, where we are now. Let's go to cases. Let's go back to our sample case that we're using. And again, exactly the same scenario. Customer calls in. I create a case for the customer, or the case was automatically created. I'm on the phone. I ask the customer, is there any errors that you can see on the screen of the printer? The customer says yes. It says error 101. You go, great. Okay. You get some small chat with the customer. Click on your little book over here because you don't know what error 101 means. Clear the search box and then type error 101 and let's see what it finds. There we go. We find our article. We can click on it. And there we go. Look how your article now renders. It's got an image in, it's got our fonts, it's got our colors, it's got everything in place, right? Okay, cool. So now I can actually read the solution, tell the customer what to do. If I want to, I can also email the article, but I can also link it. So let's click on link. So linking the article, let me tell you about this cool feature. Linking an article provides the knowledge managers an oversight of which articles or which solution articles have been used to provide solutions to cases. So in other words, let's say, for example, throughout the course of the day, you work on 40, 50 different cases. And then at the end of the day, or a month or a week or whenever, they go look at the article, they can see which are the most common articles being used. They can also see against which cases were these articles associated. And then they can get quite a clear view of the entire cycle of what is happening with the customers. And with that knowledge, you now have the power to adjust certain processes or adjust how your technology works, and then you can react based on what is actually happening. Remember, customers can call in, and as long as you're not collecting the data, you actually don't have the power to actually respond or adjust your business accordingly. So that's why we use this. Okay, so let's email this article to the customer. Click on email, and then click on OK. There we go. So it links the email to the actual case itself. It's automatically from me because I'm logged in. It puts the customer's name in that I'm talking to. The email subject is the printer error, and there's my email. How cool is that? Okay. But at this stage, it still gives me the option to go into the designer, update it, go into the HTML, update it, preview it in different states. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the designer, and I'm going to go and add my name onto the end here. Okay, so let's go and add kind regards, Byron. Okay, and now I want to send it. So click on send. Happy days. So if you remember earlier on the presentation, what did I say? I said that I can use the article to create even simple things like an email template, all right, that has got a customer signature, for example, or your company logo, or a thank you letter. So every time a case is resolved, I want to be able to associate the thank you letter. Simply create an article and have that article subject set as thank you letter. So what that means is I can actually go into the article library and go and search here and type thank you, and then find the article that has the thank you subject. Just click on email and send off the thank you email that has already been pre-written. So I don't need to, I got everything at my fingertips to be able to provide solutions, information and knowledge to my customers at my fingertips, and I don't need to navigate out of the pain that I'm working from. Okay, cool. All right. So next, I'm going to show you some cool advanced tricks, okay? So those of you who are HTML fundies and you want to be able to put buttons inside your knowledge articles that open different web pages and so forth, so you can actually get quite involved in how far you can push the HTML. All right. So for those of you who are newbies, I know the next part is going to be a little bit complicated, but I'm going to show you some basics, and then we'll get a little bit more advanced as we go. All right. So let's go create a brand new article. And let's call this the I'm just going to say HP, let's go user guide. Okay. So for HP printer user guide, right? Keywords, let's say HP user guide. So the keyword and the title is when I'm inside a support case, that's where it's actually going to reference, right? Let's give it a description, HP printer user guide. Great. We spelled everything correctly. Yeah, there we go. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do, let's go to HTML. Okay. So what I like to do is you can write your HTML in the HTML editor. It does take a little bit long, but what I do is I actually go and write my HTML inside Atom. Okay. So Atom is a HTML builder. You can use Notepad++. You can use Sublime. You can use a number of different ones, right? Now, I must mention, for those of you who do know HTML, is you wouldn't use your entire boilerplate. So your boilerplate, as you see here, is your header, your body, your text, your footer, and so forth. You wouldn't use that. What you would use is just standard HTML without the header and footer. So yes, you won't be able to link it to outside sources or reference libraries like a Bootstrap library or a jQuery library. You won't be able to do that, but you are able to push your how can I say, your HTML, CSS properties on the inline editing type style. So I'm going to remove the boilerplate for now, and then let's go and let's create first an H1. So we've got our heading. Let's create a subtitle. So let's use an H4 for our subtitle. Let's put a horizontal line. We want a straight line, and we want a paragraph text. And then let's put at the end of our paragraph text, let's put another horizontal line. Okay, so H1, we got this HP user guide. Great. And then for our subtext, we're going to say HP user guide for Africa. Okay. Now, as I always do, you go and use my sample text. I'm just going to put some Lorem Ipsum text in there, and I've got my sample text set up. All right. Next thing I want to do is I want to be able to insert an image. Okay, so not a problem. Below my horizontal line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert an image here. So we'll use an image tag. Now we need the source. Okay, so what I do is I actually use FileZilla to actually upload files directly into my server. So I'm just going to reconnect to my server. So you can actually do this through your cPanel, where you can go straight into your file repository. Let's say HTML files. The files in your public HTML file, so that you can reference them in your workplace in time. I've got a file here called printer.jpg that I've uploaded. Okay, so there's my file sitting there. So let's go and actually test that URL. So to test the URL, I'm going to just open a new tab over here, and let's go to logix365.0.za/learning. That's the folder that I placed the image in, and then / and the image is called printer.jpg. Okay, I think that's it. There we go. There's our printer. Cool. So what I'm going to do is copy this URL. So I make sure the URL is definitely working. Once I've copied the URL, let's go back to my knowledge manager. Let's go to Atom, place it in the source. Very, very important. It must contain, obviously, the HTTP. If it doesn't, it's going to try to open it from a local repository, which obviously the file doesn't exist. All right. There we go. So there's my image, my source, and then obviously I'm going to put some alt text in case for whatever reason my site is down, the image won't expose. So I'm just going to put a name that's going to replace it so that I don't get a blank space. Right? HP printer is going to be my alt text. All right, fantastic. Cool. So we've got our HTML. Let's go and actually put this in, and let's go and see how that looks. So we go to our knowledge manager, and I'm going to clear these two paragraph tags out, place my HTML in, and click on save. Okay. Let's go to preview. And there we go. You can see how my article, there's my horizontal lines, my text is here, my header, my subtext, and so forth. Okay. But let's say, for example, this print is a little bit wide. I actually want to make it a little bit narrower. So let's go to my HTML, right? And let's go and make this print narrower. So using inline editing, I'm going to put in the style equals double quotes, and I'm going to set the width of this printer to, let's say 160 pixels. Let's save that. And then let's go to our preview, and then you can see my print is much smaller, and I'm happy with that. Okay, fantastic. I can obviously use most of my styling tags. So let's go, for example, let's go to HP over here, to our heading, and let's say style equals double quote, and then use the color tag. So if we remember, the color tag changes the actual color of the actual text itself. And let's get really fancy. Let's go and look on Google for a hex color picker. So obviously you can use, there are some standard words, for example, like you can use, let's pick a nice color here, like a bluish. Light, there we go, let's use that. Copy the hex color, and then we can actually go straight back into our article over here, style equals color, and paste the hex code in here. Then we can save it. Right, let's make sure it's saved. There we go. Now you'll see my hex colors in. Let's go to preview and let's look at how the heading looks. There we go. There's my heading. Okay. You can obviously use words too. So for example, if I wanted to change the color, then I can go and say color, let's say dark blue, for example. Okay, save. And let's go look at the preview, and there I've got my dark blue heading. Cool. Can you do other stuff like add padding and backgrounds? Yes, of course you can. So let's go do that. Let's go and say background dash color equals, let's say black. Let's say light gray. Okay. Cool. So we've got a background color that's going to go behind this actual heading. Let's save that. And let's go to our preview. And there we go. But now we see, okay, hold on a second. Well, we want to put some space on the left-hand side here, and we want to put a little bit of space on the top and the bottom. So let's go do that. Let's first deal with the space that's on the left. So we're going to go padding dash left equals, let's put 10 pixels of padding on the left. Okay, let's save that. Let's see how that looks. Preview. There we go. So we've got some space on the left-hand side now. Let's put 15 pixels top and bottom. Right. So padding dash top, and let's say 15 pixels, and semicolon padding dash bottom, and let's go 15 pixels there as well. Cool. Let's save that. There we go. And let's go back to our preview. There we go. That looks much better. All right. In terms of fancy tricks like radius, for example, we can also do that. So, for example, if we say border dash radius, let's say 5. Let's make it like really obvious. Let's make it 10 pixels, right? Cool. And save. Let's go to preview. And there we go. We've got some nice rounded edges. So you can go quite crazy with your designs. Oh, look at this. Let me show you something. If I go to mobile mode and I go back to my heading, you can see the heading is sized according to my properties. So unfortunate part is there are certain things, like for example, if you had to try and use a CSS media query, obviously that won't work, but you can go quite far with using inline styling to make your documents look quite nice, insert some images, adjust the fonts. Like for example, over here, let's say, for example, I wanted to use another font here. Let's say Helvetica, for example. All right, let's go to HTML, and let's go to our Lorem Ipsum text over here. And let's go and change this to Helvetica, right? So font dash family and Helvetica. Yeah, there we go. There's a problem there. And make it a semicolon. And there we go. We're good to go. And let's go check it out, what our document looks like. And of course, save. And let's go preview. And there we go. My font has changed. That's fantastic. Okay, cool. All right. Now, let's see if we can actually expose this onto the actual portal itself. All right. So to do that, we need to make sure we have a category set up first, because you won't be able to expose to the portal unless you have a category. All right. So to do this, you're going to need to actually go into advanced settings. So from CRM, we click on the little gear over here. We go to advanced settings, which will take you into your settings. All right. And click on the drop down, and we're going to go to service management. Let me just open this up a little bit bigger. Okay. Scroll down. We're looking for categories, right? So there's categories over there. All right, let's create a new one. I'm going to call this category printers. Or, yeah, let's call it printers. Okay, and then description, let's say our printers. Let's just keep it simple. All right. Display order, let's give it number 1. Parent category. So parent categories, I can actually link it to another category. So I can have printers, and then I can create a child category and call it Canon. So I can have my printers category with a subcategory as, let's say, Canon, HP, and a bunch of different ranges, right? So in this case, I'm just going to keep it simple. All right. There we go. Let's save it. Now I've got my category set up. All right. So now that my category is set up, let's go and actually take our article that we've got over here that's currently in a draft state. There's our article, how it looks. All right. Let's go to the summary tab. And we're going to say internal no, which means it can be accessed internally, yes. And it will be automatically exposed to the portal, provided that we've associated it to a category. So on the top right-hand corner, let's click on Associate Category. In the category, type in printer, the category that we created, and there it is. Select it, click on Associate. Fantastic. Let's go and see how that actually looks on a portal. All right. So to do that, we're going to go to the portal that we actually set up. So I think our portal was called ABC. Let me see if I got it in my history here somewhere. I think it was ABC Dynamics .Microsoft CRM Portals. I think that's the address. There we go. All right, so if I go to knowledge base, you'll see there's my category. So be very careful. It often happens where people prefer to use categories other than subjects. Now, there's quite a difference between the two. If I create a category, the category will automatically expose onto the portal. So if I go create hundreds of categories, all those categories are going to expose onto the portal. So if you have any intention of using categories, but you also have a portal deployment, be careful of how many categories you go and create. So if I click on printers, you'll see there's no articles. Take a guess why. The reason why the article is not showing is because the article has not been approved and has not been published yet. So let's go and do that. Let's go back into CRM, into our customer service hub. Let's go to our first step of our business process. Let's go and associate it to a subject. And we are associating it to service, or let's associate it to query. Mark it as complete, click on next stage. When I click on next stage, it's now in the view of the knowledge manager so that they can approve and publish this article. Let's go and approve it. Click on OK, and then we're going to click on next stage. So I'm doing all of these now, and don't forget, right? If you don't have the security permission, then obviously when you try to do this, it's going to give you an error saying that you have insufficient privileges. It's marked as complete, and I'm going to click on finish. I'm not going to set an expiry date. We just, for demonstration purposes, we're going to keep it simple. All right. So I'm the publisher now, or knowledge manager. I'm going to go to publish this article. Click on publish. When? Now. That's the state of published. I'm going to set an expiry date no, and I'm not worried about translations at the moment. And there we go. On the bottom left, you can see my article is in a published state. Okay. Let's go back to our portal. Let's go to knowledge base. Click on printers, and there's my article. Now you can see here, let's see how it actually rendered. You can see it says HP user guide and then HP printer user guide. Let's go look at the article and see which components and what order it is. So see it says HP user guide over there, and then HP printer user guide. So there we go. That's how it actually renders, right? So let's go and change it so we can have it a little bit more clearer. Let's go and change this to user guide for printers sold in Africa, right? And because the article is already in a published state, now I'm actually changing a published article. So in order to update a published article, one, you have to have a knowledge manager security role that is in to edit a live article. I can make the changes over here, but then I can go to the ellipse, and then I simply click on update, and then click on OK. So this will actually change an existing or update an existing published article. If you do not have the knowledge manager security role or system administrator role, you will not be able to perform this. The article will then have to be unpublished, and then you'll be able to make the changes. All right. So let's go and see how that renders now. We can actually just refresh. And there we go. So we can actually control the text that actually shows in the footer here by doing that. To open the article, you just click on the hyperlink over here on the article's topic. And there we go. You can see our image has got our CSS properties. It's got the subtext over here, our image, our Lorem Ipsum text. And let's say, for example, we see, hold on a second here, we want a bit of space at the bottom of this image. We feel that there's not enough space. Okay. So let's go and actually create some space underneath that printer. So we can go over here back to our article, go to the HTML, go to the image tag. So here's the image tag over here. And let's go put some padding at the bottom of this printer. So padding dash bottom. And we're going to make this padding, let's make it 40 pixels. All right, save. And then, oopsie, I must remember the article's published, so I need to click on update. Then click on OK. Great. Let's go back to our article, refresh, and now we should see some space. There we go. That looks much better. Okay. You'll also notice something. There's a star rating on the top here, so I can actually rate the article, so users that read your article can give it a rating. Your users can also comment on your articles. So let's say, thank you for this article. And then they can post a comment. So what does this actually help you to do? Right, is if I go back to the article itself and I go to the analytics of the article, I can see how many times the article's been viewed, right? Views by day, by location. So it says 2 via the web. So I can know it's people that are reading it via the portal. I can see the feedback rating. I can see over here, there's the feedback. Someone voted a 5. They've also posted a comment. But this will actually show in a timeline format, right? So I can go to related, and then I can go to feedback over here, and it'll actually give me a grid of all the feedback that was given. I can actually go and put this into Excel, click on Excel, and it'll download my feedback and results into Excel, which is quite cool. Okay, so I get a bit of an analytics of what's going on in my articles. In some cases, depending on what article you've published, you can actually switch off the commenting, right? So how do you switch off the commenting? In order to switch the commenting and rating on and off, you need an administrator rights on the actual portal. So those users that are managing the content on the portal need to have an administrator web role on a portal. Okay, so I'm going to show you just now how to give someone administrator rights. So a user from your company must go and register on the portal. Once they've registered, created a profile, you'll then assign the web role. Okay, so we're going to go, and while we're looking at the article, we can click on edit. And this, obviously, you'll only get the screen if you have the web role that allows you to actually edit it. All right. Then on the right-hand side, you can see it says publishing, options. Click on options, and then we can go and see where it says comment policy over here, comment policy. We're going to change this to none, and then click on save. What this will do, it'll actually remove the ability for your external customer-facing users to comment. You'll see it's no longer, they can no longer comment on it. So let's go to printers, open the printer, article. The rating is still there, and it shows a history of the previous comments, but there's no ability to create new comments. So if I needed to remove the comments trail, I can actually do that by going into my article. So let's say if somebody has gone and created some nasty comment, I can click on the comment itself and then actually go and deactivate the comment or delete the feedback. So let's go and delete the feedback, click on delete. Right, once I've done that, if I go into my article now and go and refresh, obviously the comment will be gone. There, the comment is gone. All right. Then let's say, for example, I don't want users to be able to give my articles a rating. So I can go back to edit, click on options, remove the ratings, click on save, and now they'll no longer be able to rate the article. Okay, there we go. Let's go back to our articles, click on printers, click on HP user guide, and then the rating is gone. Okay, as an administrator, I can also provide some further properties, all right, to this. So I can go to edit over here, and in my language content, my options, I can now go write JavaScript here, and I can insert CSS over here. But this we'll cover in my future lessons with regards to portal configuration and customization. All right, so you have the option to do both. Okay, so let's say, for example, you got a staff member, and this staff member is responsible for managing the content that's actually on the portal itself. We need to be able to give the users the ability to be able to manage the content. So how do we do that? Okay, so in my case, we go to contacts. We search for the contact itself. I think the contact that I use in my sample's name is John Black. Search for the contact. Click on the contact's name to open the contact. Right. Once the contact is open, oh, I'm actually in the customer service hub. You won't have this function out of the box from the customer service hub. You'd need to actually do this directly from CRM. So if I go into CRM, let me just check that's both customer service hub. Let me go here. There we go. So we go to contacts, type in the name, John Black, search, click on the user's name. And then on the top here, you see where it's got the form name. I need to go to the form name called Portal Contact. So once I'm on the Portal Contact form, I'm going to click on the Details tab. And if I scroll down through the Details tab, I'm looking for something called Web Roles. And you'll see over here, I've assigned myself the administrator role. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the administrator role. Sorry, 1 second. Go back down there, select the administrator role, and I'm actually going to remove this administrator role from here. There we go, remove. So if I go back to my portal, go to the home page, I'm expecting this blue bar and this admin panel over here to remove. So let's refresh. Oh, well, okay, the user profile is James Brown, not John Black. All right, let's go and fix that. Let's go back to our contacts, portals, sales, contacts. Let's go and look for James Brown. There we go. Make sure we're on the correct form. Click on details. Go down to the web role, select the web role, and I'm going to remove this web role from this user's profile. There we go. And now we go back to the portal and refresh, and now edit is gone. All right. So now this is what the portal will look like to a user. So your users that you have in CRM will not natively have this function. The users that you have in CRM would have to register on the portal and then assign them the privileges to be able to edit the content on the portal. All right. But again, I will go and give you more details on this when it comes to when we do portal customization and configuration. All right. You'll notice something over here. It's got over here your article. There's the article that we just created. So over here will be a stream of the most popular articles that are automatically exposed. Most popular articles stream over here. Most recent articles over there. Top rated articles. So remember, your customers or your customers that are accessing the portal have the option where you've applied it to rate your articles. So depending on which articles have the highest rating will depend on what articles actually show over here. Okay. So let me check if we've got covered all our bases on what I needed to show you. Okay, fantastic. One more thing I want to show you, something called case deflection. Have you ever been onto a website and when you click on the help button or a support button, you notice that the website tends to suggest solutions to you before you actually submit the support case. That's what we refer to as case deflection. All right. So if we go to my support, and now let's say, for example, I got a problem with my printer, okay? And I go into open a new case, right? And in the title, I go and I type here Canon error 101. Watch what happens. It'll actually start searching my article base based on the content that's in my subject. You see there? It goes in, finds articles. All right, I can type Canon user guide, and my case deflection will kick in and it'll go, hold on a second, here's the user guide. So now I don't need to submit the support case because I have access directly from the case deflection that triggered that now gives me access to the actual article itself. And there we go. Found my answer. Thank you. And I can click on the little print tab if I want to actually go ahead and print this article out. That gives me the details that I need. Okay, so that's called case deflection. Really, really handy. So just remember, when creating an article, if you want to actually publish the article to your portal, it must be associated to a category, and then make sure that you create the categories and the structure that you want to create those categories. All right. And in further videos, when I get into customization and configuration, I'll show you how to create quite a complex logic in terms of how you create your categories, parent and child categories, and then how you can actually extend your capabilities of what you can actually do with your categories itself. All right, cool. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot. Please post your comments below the video. I'd be glad to to answer your questions and so forth. And then in the following videos, we're going to deal with some more exciting stuff on Dynamics 365. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Byron Dittberner, Microsoft CRM consultant, and we'll chat soon.